Right, we're recording. How are we going to start? And don't overthink it.
You can't do this to me when you know I tend to.
And there it is. You're already overthinking it. And I don't mean that you're thinking too much, but that your brain is spiraling.
Yes. I mean, it feels incredibly personal, but universal at the same time. Almost everyone does it. Almost everyone overthinks, but everyone thinks their version is uniquely irrational.
This isn't a podcast with all the answers.
It's a conversation about figuring things out as you go.
From two very different generations.
With Michelle R. Williams
and Nick Hurst.
Welcome to Life Happens. So, this week we have to start with some news, I'm afraid. Care to explain, please?
Well, since we've reached the end of June, we are reaching the end of the first season or series of Life Happens because we're taking a summer break. So now it's the end of June. We're going to take July and August off, and we will be back in September, and life will be happening all over again. We shall go.
It's like during summer, life doesn't happen.
Well, the podcast doesn't happen. Our lives will happen. In fact, your life will be really happening because you'll be getting to grips with life and even working in Ireland. And so You'll be able to tell us all about what it's like to be in Ireland. When we come back in September, I shall be able to tell you what it's like in Portugal because I'm planning to go there, and then I shall be going to Czechia, and you won't be there.
I won't be here. Oh my gosh. It feels unreal. Yeah, actually, my moving to Ireland is the reason why we are taking the break. Because I think that if that wasn't happening, we would be able to make it all the way through summer, even with all the holiday and everything. But unfortunately, at the time of this recording, I'm still in Czechia. I'm leaving in a week, next Thursday. And so we had to record a bunch of episodes before I go, because my time will be so busy and so chaotic that I just wouldn't be able to do it. But because we just didn't want to end it in the middle of nowhere, we decided that summer break is a great excuse for that.
So we will be back in September, but in the meantime, we're still here, and we are going to complete now our final episode. And this week we have a topic to talk about that, in my mind, kind of opens the way for lots of cheap gags, but then most things in my mind open
That's
the way
what you
for
do.
Cheap gags.
That's like 99% of your conversation style.
It is kind of, yes. I've always been one for finding the cheap gag. So, overthinking. That's what the topic is. Something that I know I always preface these kind of statements by saying I don't want to overgeneralize, but almost here, I'm not sure I can overgeneralize because I think overthinking is something that almost all of us do.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure I would actually agree with that. I know people who just don't know what overthinking is, and I wish. And one of the examples is my father. I don't think that man overthinks a simple thing. And I just wish that, he's my father. Why did I not get that into my DNA? I am the most terrible overthinker. And I think that if you got all this way to episode 32, you know that because it's so obvious in the things I'm saying. And sometimes you can see me overthinking in like life process. So it's a struggle. And for a very long time, I thought that you are not one to overthink. Really. I really thought that, because you just seem like someone who has it all together and who is just like very rational about things. I'm not sure that's a compliment. No, actually it is a compliment, but I'm about to say that I found out it's not true. So it ends up not being a compliment. But, I feel like we overthink in like very different ways, and that you find some of my overthinking very stupid and very like too much. And it's always when I'm just ranting about it to you and I'm like, but what if this and what if this and blah, 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 blah. And you are like, it didn't happen. Like, it won't happen. What are you doing? And I'm like, Nick, that's not the point, and I don't need to hear this. So I think that maybe we are not the best combination of people in that area.
Yeah, sometimes when you are overthinking something, I feel like I'm having to talk you down from the ledge.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit. Or kick me down.
What I said earlier, that most people, I think, overthink, and how often can I get the word think into this sentence? I think
Please don't. I'm already annoyed.
I used my brain to come to the conclusion that maybe, maybe they don't. Not everybody does overthink, but maybe some people are just able to go straight in and do something. Maybe that's a superpower in itself. Maybe actually there are people that I've met who shall remain nameless, who I think probably chronically underthink something.
Yeah, isn't that worse?
Yeah, that is definitely worse. So we're not going to go there this week. Listening to this at home, you probably also know somebody, at least one person, who underthinks, and you wish that they could perhaps think a little bit more. Well, what is overthinking? What is overthinking?
Well, I feel like what you just said with we all know people who underthink, you sort of meant it more in an intelligence way, which is exactly what overthinking is not. Because overthinking doesn't mean thinking too much in the way of being too smart. And very often I feel like, and I'm sort of going against myself here, but I feel like people who are more intelligent tend to rationalize, think more. I don't say they overthink, but for example, this is my case. I am exactly the type of person who I always say that I am my own therapist as well as my own patient at the same time, because I overthink terribly. But then at the same time, sometimes literally at the same time during the overthinking, there is a second part of my brain which is exactly like, girl, stop it. What are you doing? You are just making up nonsense. And that's the rational part of me. I never listen, unfortunately. I mean, the part is there, but I never listen. But, it's there and it's trying to calm me down.
That's exactly what I go through, actually. You describe it perfectly, that whole kind of
Such a humbling experience, isn't it? When you are panicking and you yourself tell yourself to calm the fuck down. It's like when someone else tells you, you're like, you don't know what I'm going through. Like, stop talking to me. But when you yourself tell you that, you are like, oh, what am I doing then? This is so embarrassing.
Let's break it down a little bit. I mean, the first thing that happens is you start overthinking a problem, just maybe not even be a major problem. It could be something minor, absolutely minor. And maybe it's something at work, something at school, whatever. And you start overthinking it and you feel that that's productive. But actually, it's keeping you stuck, preventing you from moving forward. It's causing you to, and this is a reference to what we were talking about in the last episode, to procrastinate. So how do we get past that? And let's give some examples. Let's think about, when does thinking, just normal thinking, become overthinking? Why does the brain keep returning to the same thoughts? Does it feel useful?
I mean, this is very broad question because there are different types of overthinking, and I feel like different things help or different things define different types of overthinking. Because from examples I can think of is overthinking your future. Like, what will happen with me? What if I take this step instead of this? What if I date this person instead of this? And it's about your future and how the decision you will make now will affect your future. Then there is something I would call like social overthinking, when you are either thinking about what is happening right now when you are with a group of people, for example, or more likely you are thinking about it after it happened. So, oh my gosh, I said that. Do you think that was awkward? Like, do they hate me now? And so on and so on. And then there's another thing that comes to my mind, which I do a lot. And you said that overthinking is thinking too much about even the smaller things and making them a problem. But you can sort of create an overthinking situation out of literally nothing. And I feel like it's the worst thing ever, at least for me, because I can just sit with my thoughts and suddenly I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this person thinks that? And it has no trigger whatsoever. And it has nothing based in the real world for me to overthink. My mind just is bored and is creating scenarios that are so irrational. And it's terrible. I can't be with my thoughts sometimes, even for a second, because that's exactly what happens.
That's interesting. I haven't experienced that. Going back to what you're saying about the different types of overthinking, I can tell you with some certainty that when you get older, you worry less about the future.
Thank God.
Not completely, but all that uncertainty that you tend to overthink now about career relationships, that kind of is removed from the equation anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of the rest of it, you sort of become a little bit more fatalistic, I think, about it, because experience teaches you that you can. Even I've got a lot going on at the moment, what with the podcast, writing a new book, launching another book that's already written. It's a pretty full day. Plus, I'm now, as you know, I mentioned on this podcast, I think, that the beginning of this year, I went back to going to a gym, and I try to do it at least 2 days a week. And I'm planning to try and get it up to 3 days a week when I have less podcast commitments in the week. But when I do that, it takes kind of 4 hours out of my day, because there's the traveling to the gym on public transport here in Brussels. My gym is actually just a few meters from the European Parliament building. So it's quite a good location for the gym. And quite a few of the people who come to the gym are European Parliament people. But that's nothing to do with overthinking. That's probably me just over talking.
Yeah, that's your issue, I feel. You are not overthinking, you are over talking. For every single thought you have twice as much words to say.
Well, no, for every thought I have, it connects to another thought, which connects to another thought. And I feel the need to tell them all, to fill in the full story, the backstory.
Last episode, attention issues. You can't hide it. You always accuse me for bringing it up and diagnosing you. But Nick, every single person who listens to you for a while can say that you have attention issues, okay? You are not being subtle about it.
They're all probably going, oh no, when's he going to stop?
I don't even know where you are going, but I'm just there.
Just to have a very full week every week with all of these things going on. And when you get to a certain age, you don't worry so much about the future. You concentrate a lot more on the present, because I think the present is, and I think I've always been the kind of person that thinks the present is the most important day of your life, is today, for example.
Yeah, I'm not that person.
But what I do and have done ever since I can remember, I'm not sure how far back I can remember, is what you were saying about the social anxiety. And that is replaying events from the past, things that I've done in the past, conversations that I've had, things that I've said to people have said to me. Actually, that's another thing. Things that people have said to me, and I'm then looking for hidden meanings that probably aren't even there. And I will replay these things in my head. I'll do it quite often in the evening. I'll be watching something on TV, and then I'll realize that 10 minutes have gone by and I haven't taken in a thing of this movie or TV series that I'm watching, because I'm so lost in running back these thoughts. And the thing is, I have to go through, sometimes I have to put the TV on pause or something really drastic like that, because I have to really go through these thoughts and get some sort of closure on it. I can't just leave it. I can't just think, oh, that's not important. It's already happened, which is the reality of the situation. You can't do something about a conversation that you had in the past. So what is the point of overthinking it? I don't know, but I do it. And I often have to go all the way through it, rethink something, till I get to a point where I feel I have some sort of closure and I can then lay it to rest. But it's why I also have, and you might find this a bit odd considering how I could just witter on talking non-stop. But I do have a rule about being careful about what I say because, and I always point this out to other people, once you've said something, you cannot unsay it. The person you've said it to cannot unhear it in the same way as if you stumble on something that you really, really don't want to see, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
So, care has to be exercised when you're talking. And on that
I am an
note,
oversharer. I share too much. I mean, I don't really think that I'm overthinking like every social interaction. Sometimes, when the event, for example, is done, I sort of reflect back to it, but very briefly. But my conclusion usually is, oh my gosh, I talked too much. I shared too much. On the other hand, I feel like I have more healthy relationship with that than you do, because from my own experience, I know that people don't remember. And I sort of have this attitude of like, everyone can feel like that, but I don't remember what everyone else said. If my friend overshared, I don't know. It's not like I don't remember what she said, but I don't think that she overshared. I'm like, yeah, we were having a conversation. She gave, personal examples or something like that. So if I don't think that about other people surely don't think that about me. And that's basically what I live by. And I'm like, the rest of it is none of my problem.
I get what you're saying there. In fact, I agree with it. I think there is this issue that you overthink something. And I'm going back to the point of thinking about things that have already happened, overthinking the past. That we all hate a degree of uncertainty, and we can feel uncertainty about how people have reacted to us or what people meant when they said something to us. So then we get into this spiral of thinking, if I analyze this enough, maybe I can prevent pain. And people overthink because they think that more thinking will eventually create some sort of level of certainty or safety, reassurance, making the correct decision, or emotional protection.
Yeah, it's the lack of control, honestly. And that is why different people struggle with overthinking different things. Because, for example, in your case, overthinking social interactions, there is the lack of control about other people. You can't control what they think about you or what they say behind your back or how they remember you. You can't control that. And that makes you anxious. For me, overthinking the future, there is the lack of control about my future. Because life is unpredictable. And especially, I'm in my early 20s. And as you said earlier, as you get older, it gets better. But I feel like I am in the most uncertain time of my life. And the lack of control about my whole life and my future. I don't know like what my future family will be like. I don't know who my future husband will be. I don't know what my future career will be. I don't know if I will be happy or unhappy. I just don't know that. I physically can't know that. And it's that lack of control that makes me anxious. And it's exactly what you were saying, because I don't like not knowing. And I feel like people naturally don't like not knowing in this case. And so I am overthinking all the possibilities, what will happen with my life. I'm thinking the worst scenarios, I'm thinking the best scenarios, and every single scenario in between, just so I feel like I have answers, which obviously I don't and I can't have.
But what you're doing is you're being very proactive in your life. You're putting yourself in a position where, predictability becomes a positive. Whereas if you were to just stay in the town that you live in Czechia, your life would most probably become very predictable and probably, certainly in your view, not in a good way. So what you're doing is stepping out, taking it's kind of, and I've said this to you before, it's kind of like stepping off a cliff and hoping that there's going to be something there to catch you. You're putting yourself in the position of the unpredictable can happen to you. which I think is always a good thing. But of course, that level of uncertainty does create that overthinking process where your brain is constantly trying to thrash around, seeking some kind of certainty to hang on to. And
Yeah, it goes with a lot of extra anxiety, which is not really a good thing, but that's the price you have to pay for it, I guess.
But yeah, it is. And gradually, all these little bits will start to fall into place, and the anxiety levels will go down, and whatever the opposite of anxiety is, the happy levels will go up.
Well, I'm still waiting for that. And should I wait faster or like
wait faster? I don't know. That's a really good expression.
Well, yeah, sometimes it feels like you can wait faster, or is it just me? Never mind. You know what? Let's move on.
I think that is definitely just you. But I like it. If I was still writing songs for bands, I would definitely now want to write a song called Wait Faster, because I just think it's a great
Sounds
phrase.
Good.
Overthinking, though, isn't always a negative thing, because overthinking and imagination are deeply connected. Who said that? You did.
No, it's what I believe, because we basically started this topic with saying that overthinking doesn't really go with intelligence, at least not to the depths of how it seems. But I really think that it goes with creativity and imagination. If I look at people around me, the most terrible overthinkers are people who are the most creative in one way or another. And people who always go, people who work with numbers and facts and stuff like that, they don't tend to overthink that much. Maybe because, they tend to believe facts. And there are very few facts in overthinking. But creative people, as you and me, we are there come on, we are writers. It's our job to invent moments and scenarios that are not there, that don't exist. And so therefore, I think that the line between fiction and real life gets really blurry. And I have to overthink what will happen in my book. I have a character in a certain situation. And if I wasn't an overthinker, or then a creative person, I would just be like, well, and they were there, and then they went home. And that would be so boring. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, they want to go home. But on their way, someone kidnaps them, and a dragon attacks them, and this and that, which is so unreal. And there is nothing to create it from. So my brain creates it from nothing. But then unfortunately, my brain starts creating things from nothing, even in my everyday life.
Yes, and I can completely relate to that and completely agree with you. I go through that whole process of when I'm writing and just get into the zone, and I'm creating a world that doesn't exist with people who don't exist and trying to make them real. And so I'm there. When I'm writing, I have to picture it all in my head. I can see each scene as it plays out. So that basically what I'm doing is I'm just describing what is in front of me, because I do completely see it in 3D and color as well. But of course, then this ability to use your imagination can work against you in social context, work context, all the contexts that you could possibly overthink. Even, maybe an interaction with the person at the checkout at the local supermarket, or something completely mundane like that. All these things can cause you to overthink, because your imagination can start running riot. What's that guy looking at me in a strange way? Or, all sorts of things. And if you have too much imagination, if imagination is running riot, then you just start to, and I use this expression a lot with you when you're talking about me, you start to put your own words to the pictures, and that can lead you down a dangerous rabbit hole. So,
but also, you said that it doesn't have to be purely a bad thing, and maybe you will call me paranoid or something, but not only am I an overthinker, but I'm also a huge true crime fan. You know that.
That's true.
So for me, I feel like for a normal person who is neither of these things, they will go out at night, or just, they will go out just for going out. When I go out, especially when it's dark, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if behind that corner there is a man who will fucking attack me? So I will just change the pavement. I will go to the other side. So if he's there, he can't attack me. And I've been called so paranoid, like so many times in my life. But I feel like this overthinking can save you. And every true crime fan knows that it really, like, knowing that these things can happen can actually save you because you are expecting them and you can prepare for them. And to be honest, I would rather overthink it 99 times for nothing and being called paranoid. And then there's this one moment when it can save my life, other than just be very naive about it and then get kidnapped or something worse. So, maybe it's like a very extreme situation, but it is overthinking, but it might be good.
Yeah, I could get that. And I'm a great believer in trying to analyze in any situation, personal safety aspects. I think that is quite important. But there's a difference between, analyzing a situation rationally and overthinking it, I would say. And just for you listening at home or wherever you're listening to us, just to reiterate what Michelle said, she is a massive true crime fan. And if ever you meet Michelle, I have to warn you that she's very fond of telling me that she knows 20 ways to kill a man. So,
first of all, I do. Second of all, I'm just telling you so you stop trying to piss me off. It's important to be warned and to know what you're working with.
So, overthinking can become emotional avoidance. I want to emotionally avoid Michelle telling me how many men she can kill.
I guess you will get me cancelled. That's so unfair. But hear me out. Every true crime fan knows what I'm talking about.
Do you think then there's generational differences between overthinkers? For instance, if you grew up online, which you did and I didn't, does that make a difference to the levels of input in your life that make you overthink situations or make me perhaps be able to dismiss situations?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that being online affects me into overthinking, but then again, I am not a person to overthink social interactions, maybe, which also connects to like social media. But when it comes to like generational differences, the first thing that came to my mind was when we were talking again in one of our episodes about decisions and about opportunities. And nowadays, overthinking your future is so common because you have so many options. So you have to overthink it to think about every single option that you have. Ages ago, generations ago, you didn't really have that option. So you didn't have to overthink, what career I will choose, because you knew since the day you were born that you will have the career your father had. And it was simple as that, and there was no need for you to think about it. So maybe in that case, I feel like there is a difference.
I think you're going back several generations before me there.
I'm just
following your father. I mean, I'm not a farmer. Never have been. My father was
But
a
you
farmer.
could be. And if you wanted to, it would be very simple. I mean, in this case, actually, it can happen even nowadays. So many people are what their parents are. If your mom is a doctor, there is a high chance that you can decide to be a doctor as well. And you sort of can excuse it in the way of like, yeah, my mom's a doctor, so, I will go in her steps. It's simple as that. And you don't need to overthink every single option that's out there. For me, not sharing views on life with my parents at all, I'm starting with a blank page. I have nothing. The only thing I know is that I don't want to take the path my parents took, but otherwise, every single option is open for me. So, of course, I overthink it.
When it comes to overthinking, there's a difference between reflection and rumination. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. I mean, reflection is actually something that's so healthy, but if you don't really have a healthy relationship with maybe feedback, even your own or someone else's, it can turn into overthinking very easily. For me, the line is blurry. I can't tell to which point I'm reflecting and to which point I'm overthinking, honestly.
So we should just try to clarify this by saying, reflection helps understanding, eventually helps us to move forward and creates clarity. So these are all positive elements, whereas rumination, which can lead you to be basically in an overthinking situation, loops endlessly. And I'm so guilty of that, just overthinking, rethinking a situation over and over again, replay it in my head. So it repeats without resolution. And it's what I was talking about earlier. And that I do that. I think about things that have happened and I need to get some kind of closure on it. Actually, I do that even when I'm trying to project and think about the future. So these are definitely negative things.
We also had an episode about clarity and closure. And I just feel like without all of this being planned, I find it so funny that this is our last episode before the break. And we are referring to our previous episodes so much today. Just like find it kind of cool.
We're coming to the end of the school year and putting it all together before you have the exams. So
is it? Oh, so it's your teacher's nature. I see. Wow. I thought we were just like being very smart about it and you had it all planned. Damn it.
I didn't have it all planned. I think you do much more, much better planning than I do. But from what you're saying, and then I just was trying to pull that all together with the discussion about reflection versus rumination, it comes down to, and you're normally the one to point this one out, the key theme of Life Happens, self-awareness.
Yes, finally it's not me who says that, because every single episode I am the one who's coming back to it. But it's true. It's true, and this podcast could be named self-awareness, literally.
Self-awareness, yes, but also there's something that you wrote in the notes that I want to come to because I just love the word. And I'm going to try and say it because I have mispronounced it when we were talking about this earlier. Hypervigilance. There you go. I got it right.
Well, basically what I meant by that about this topic is that sometimes we have this feeling of if we overthink enough and if we are aware enough of everything that's happening, somehow we can prevent bad things from happening to us because we will be prepared or because we will see them coming. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. And I know that so much lately when I literally feel like when I go back to me living in America, I was overthinking that so much. And I feel like I was prepared for every single scenario. And then another one came that I didn't see coming. So it doesn't really work. It's good to be prepared for certain situations. I think that's a really good thing. But at the same time, don't exhaust yourself because it is exhausting. And I was talking about being mentally exhausted. I think it was in the last episode, how I never really get rest. That's exactly one of the reasons why. And I know that I'm not the only one. And it is exhausting. And at the end of the day, it brings very little good. And it will just mentally drain you, basically.
But going back to what you were saying earlier, and it's also a kind of hypervigilance when you're talking about your addiction to true crime and when you're out and about late at night and you're overthinking the situations that could be about to occur as you're walking down a dark street. And so you're being hypervigilant to be safe, basically. So sometimes...
Well, maybe it did save my life at some point. I wouldn't know. So, again, it's not fully a bad thing.
Exactly. How do you stop overthinking, though? Or do you need to stop overthinking? Or at least control? I think you need to control it, actually.
I think that you need to control it enough so it doesn't ruin your life. And I'm saying it as someone who doesn't really have a healthy relationship with my overthinking. And, coming back to being self-aware, it really sucks to a certain point, being self-aware, because I am overthinking and I know I'm overthinking, but I can't really stop myself from it. So it's like a terrible combination. So I won't be acting like I can tell you what to do to fix that or to control that, because I myself don't really know that. But don't really get rid of it. That's what I would say. Because I feel like it's portrayed as a negative trait when someone says, oh, you are an overthinker, they usually mean it in a bad way. And again, I think we gave enough examples to prove that it's not fully a bad way.
Okay, I just mentioned examples there. You've written down a list of examples. We went through it before. I just wanted to go through it now.
Because that was the list. I have to give the background. That was the list that Nick was reading. And before that, he was like, yeah, I'm not really an overthinker, that's fine, whatever. And then he went through the list and ticked like 9 out of 10. And I think that was the moment he found out he was an overthinker. You're welcome.
So try this at home. I'll throw them at you. Examples of overthinking. Rehearsing conversations. Tick. Yes, I do that.
Always.
I'll reply later, becoming 3 weeks. Yep, done that. Tick. Reading into emojis. Yeah, kind of. I don't get.
I stopped doing that when you started using emojis. Because Nick doesn't know how to use emojis. He just uses what he likes in the moment. So usually there are more emojis than letters in his messages. And because I am Gen Z, that is true, shut up. And because I am Gen Z and I know the meaning of certain emojis, I stopped overthinking it because I know Nick doesn't know that. Do you do that with me? Because I feel like sometimes I do use an emoji in like a Gen Z way. And only after I send the message, I'm like, oh, he won't understand what I meant by it. Do you overthink my messages in that way?
Occasionally. I mean, who has time to learn what every emoji means? Really? There's more important things in life. Anyway, I think we can't spend too much time on emojis. Overthinking tone in texts. Yeah, I think tone in anything. Text, email, letters. You remember letters? No, you probably don't. You're Gen Z. People used to write letters.
Postcards. I remember postcards.
Postcards, yeah. It's hard to get tone into a postcard, but you could if you're a good writer.
But actually, coming back to emojis, you never used them. You only started using them a lot when you started talking to me. And I remember it was very shortly after I told you. And it was sort of in a joke, but I also meant it. That because you are not using emojis, I always feel like you are angry with me when you are texting me. And very shortly after you started using them. So that was my overthinking. I always thought that when someone who uses emojis normally, even people I don't know, honestly, when they don't use emojis, I think I just read it in such a rude way. And I even do that with strangers. Like recently, I've been communicating with a lot of agents when it comes to my moving to Ireland. And when an agent texts me and they use even a single emoji, I'm like, oh, they are nice. And it's a happy message. And when they text me and they don't use any, I'm like, oh, so we are being strictly professional here. Okay, I have to, think about what I actually say and so on and so on. So yeah, I do overthink that a lot.
Okay, so we overthink anything that's written. Being unable to choose because every option closes another option. I don't understand that one, so I don't understand.
What do you mean you don't understand it?
Because every option closes another option. No.
Yeah, it does. For me, okay, I will give you a very recent example. I had options to study abroad. And so I was like, okay, I can either study in Ireland, Denmark, Netherlands, or I can stay in Czechia. And whatever I choose will basically close the door for the other. Because if I study in Ireland, I also can't stay in Czechia. And I will probably never come back to Czechia. So that closes a certain future that I could have had here because I chose one option.
Okay, now I see it. Yeah. Okay. So it's all about the decision-making process.
Basically, yeah.
Trying to sleep while the brain launches a TED talk. Well, I haven't got a TED, so I don't know what that is.
Nick, I genuinely believe that you are the only person in the world who doesn't know what a TED talk is. Literally.
Talking to your teddy bear is how I would take it.
Please, someone in the comments back me up. Because I've never met another person who would tell me they don't know what a TED talk is. Literally.
You're not going to tell me?
No, you know what? No. Do your research. Who am I to educate you? You hate when I educate you.
Well, there is always that. We should finish. We're getting close to finishing for the first series of Life Happens on, guess what? A quiz, a Life Happens quiz.
But hear me out. This one is special. This one is special.
I'm glad you think so, because the link is going to take you to my website, my blog site. So I hope you click on it and go and not only do the quiz, but go and have a nose around the blog site. It is not selling you anything. It's just a collection of my thoughts and mostly reviews. A lot of
it's basically as if
reviews.
young person had an Instagram, like has a blog. That's very John Watson of you, you know.
I think
I like that.
Is that a reference to John Watson as in Sherlock Holmes? Holmes and Watson.
Yes, as in the BBC Sherlock Holmes, yes.
Yes, so I'm John Watson. Well, it could be worse. You could have said worse. So, as ever, the link to the quiz is in the description of this episode of Life Happens. So go to wherever you are listening to the episode. Well, actually, you're probably already there. But go to the description and you will see the link. Click on the link. It'll take you to my website. And you're welcome. I'm very happy to entertain you here. And we've got this quiz and it's very quick. So, for example, question number 1, the quiz is called, what kind of overthinker are you? And in each question, you get 4 options, A, B, C, or D. You have to remember which one you did. Or if you're like Michelle and you have a goldfish bowl memory, you have to write down.
I had to write it down. I wasn't physically able to remember 5 letters.
All you have to do is write down the letter. So, for example, question number 1, you send a message and don't get a reply for hours. What's your first thought? A, they're upset with me. B, maybe something happened. C, I shouldn't have said that. Or D, fine, I didn't want to talk anyway. So what was your answer to that, by the way?
Well, my first answer was B, that something must have happened, because I do catastrophize. And I think I told you already that like every time I call someone and they don't pick up, or text someone and I know it's the person who immediately texts back and they don't, I'm like, oh, they're dead. Something happened. So unfortunately, I'm that type of person. On the other hand, when it comes to you, I'm also the last. When you don't reply to me, I tell you something funny, I text you something funny, and you don't reply for like 2 hours. I'm like, fine, I don't want to talk to you either. Fuck off.
Oh, so charming. By the way, you probably do get the award for the word of the episode, catastrophize. Marvelous.
Did I pronounce it wrong?
No, you pronounced it right. And I was...
Because the thing is, I already wanted to say it like 3 times during the episode, and every time I started overthinking it, and I just realized I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, I think you did it very well. I've actually never said it in my life until just now.
Really?
So, because I would argue that it's a new variation, a new use stemming from the word catastrophe, which is a particularly fun word, but catastrophize. So that's why I'm saying it kind of slowly and carefully, because the muscles of my mouth are having to get used to that unique movement.
Wow.
My answer to that, by the way, was I shouldn't have said that, which is C.
Really? Aww.
Don't you awe me. 2, you have an important decision to make. You usually, A, research it for far too long. B, ask lots of people for advice. C, delay making the decision. D, decide quickly, then question it afterwards. What was your answer to that?
I'm the first 3.
The first
all
3?
Of them. Yeah, I overthink decisions so much. So I need to do my research. First of all, that's the first step. If I'm about to make a decision, I need to do my research. Then, based on the research, I doubt it. So I ask everyone around me. And then, because I'm too paralyzed by the options and I don't really want to make the answer or the decision, I delay it and I procrastinate, which I think we already know. So
okay. So my answer to that one was, I think I went for C again. Delay making the decision.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I do make decisions at the end when I eventually, I'm up against the wall. But yeah, I think it's probably C. I'm not going to go through the other questions because it's a pretty short quiz. I don't want to give it all away, but go and have a go at the quiz yourself. Just click on the link, go to my website and try the quiz. Then have a look around the website and give it a like and tell me what you think. I'd be very interested to know. So with this quiz, you go through the questions, you remember or you write down whether you answered A, B, or C, or D for each of them, and then you get the answer. The way it works is if you get mostly A's, you are the analyzer. Mostly B's. Oh, here we go. Let me try and say this. Mostly B's, the catastrophizer. There's another word I've never said before. Really? Wow. Mostly C's, the social replayer. Mostly D's, the hidden overthinker. I will tell you what one of these means because this is my answer. I was mostly C's, It just came down to between two, and then the last question swung it in the favor of mostly C's, the social replayer. So I'll tell you what this means. The psychological style, social self-consciousness. You replay conversations, tone, facial expressions, and tiny interactions long after everyone else has forgotten them. That is so true. Classic behavior of the social replayer, remembering something embarrassing from 2014 at 2:00 in the morning. Yes, that is so true. I'm not going to tell you what the embarrassing...
That's literally like 99% of your personality. All of that you just said. I love it. I also do know what I love, how we only have 5 questions, but the answers are spot on. This is really good. You did a really good job with that.
It's true. What was your result? Did you do it?
Yeah, of course. Oh, come on. You always ask me like I've never done it. I might have procrastinated it for a long time, but hey, results are there.
Exactly. And the result was...
I was the second one, the word you can't pronounce.
You're the catastrophizer. Oh, look, I'm getting to be like a catastrophe expert here.
Wow.
Let's just have a look about what Michelle's overthinking style is. Psychological style, anxiety-driven future thinking. Oh, yes. Your brain loves preparing for worst-case scenarios. Oh, yes. Just in case. You often mistake worrying for problem solving. Classic behavior, mentally living through disasters that never happen. Like if I'm going to walk from the restaurant across the road to my apartment block, I might get murdered. It's 50 meters, people, and it's all lit.
Okay, but you still wanted me to know that I was home safe, so shut up.
Because I'm a gentleman.
Right, of course.
Old-fashioned English gentleman. And I think that brings us to the end of this episode, the last episode of the first series of Life Happens. 32 episodes we've done.
It actually makes me really sad right now. Like, I will miss it. I really will. I mean, we've been recording like crazy these past few weeks, but I will miss it. Like, for like next, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. What will I do with all of that free time? Jeez. What will I procrastinate? Come on.
Move to Ireland. You'll have plenty to do.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Right. Oh, damn it. I also wanted to say that even though we are taking the summer break, first of all, I don't want to make it sound like we will never come back to this. Because that's often the case with people saying we are taking a break and you just know it will never happen again. So no, this was planned for months now. And we are certainly coming back because, you know, I would miss it and I love it and I really enjoy it. And second of all, even though we probably won't make any proper episode during summer, I think there might be some bonus content and some bonus episodes because we will have a lot going on. So yeah, wait for that and be tuned for that.
That's true. You never know what's going to happen. We may even get together in Dublin at some point. Who knows? But certainly we could never stop talking, so we might as well turn on the recording machine while we're doing it.
Literally.
Okay, so with that, we'll wrap it up for now.